You were raised to be useful, not powerful, not feared, not strategically dangerous, just useful. And that training shows every single time you open your mouth to defend yourself when someone questions your decision. Every time you explain your choices to someone who never earned the right to ask. Every time you feel tension in a room and immediately try to fix it with a joke or a concession or an apology you do not owe. You were conditioned to smooth things over, to keep people comfortable, to make sure everyone likes you. And now you wonder why no one respects you. You are sitting in a meeting and someone challenges your idea, not with data, not with logic, just tone, just framing. And instead of letting the challenge die in silence, you start explaining, you start justifying, you lean forward, your voice speeds up, you are trying to win them over. And in that moment, you lost, because the person who explains is the person being evaluated. The person who defends is the person on trial. You handed them the gavel. You stepped into their courtroom, and they did not even have to build it. You walked in yourself. You are texting someone who has not replied in 3 days. You know they saw it. You know they are active. But instead of letting the silence sit, you send another message. Something casual, something that pretends you are not waiting. Hey, just following up. And now they know. They know you need the response more than they need to give it. You just showed your hand. You just taught them that your attention is free and their indifference has no cost. You are with family. Someone comments on your life, your job, your relationship status, your choices. It is phrased like concern, but it lands like judgment. And instead of letting it hang in the air until they feel the weight of what they just said, you laugh it off, you redirect, you explain why things are actually fine. And they walk away thinking they can do it again next time. Because you never made it uncomfortable. You absorbed the discomfort for them. You taught them that boundary violations come with no consequences. This is not your fault. You were trained for this. Trained to prioritize harmony over hierarchy. Trained to be liked instead of respected. Trained to believe that power comes from being generous with your energy, your time, your explanations, your presence. But Machiavelli understood something that your parents, your teachers, and your culture deliberately hid from you. He understood that fear is a more reliable foundation for authority than love, not because cruelty works, but because respect rooted in fear does not require constant maintenance. It does not need to be re-earned. It does not evaporate the moment you stop performing. Love makes people expect more from you. Fear makes them expect consequences, and consequences create boundaries. Boundaries create respect. Respect creates power. This is not a theory. This is how every functional hierarchy in history has operated. And if you do not understand this, you will spend your entire life being managed by people who do. You are going to hear 5 truths in this video. Not lessons, not tips, truths. Psychological realities that separate people who control rooms from people who get controlled in them. Most of you will leave before the end. You will feel uncomfortable. You will tell yourself this does not apply to you. That is fine. The ones who stay are the ones who are tired of being liked and ignored. Tired of being the good guy who finishes wherever the script says he should. If that is you, put your phone face down and listen. Because everything you think makes you likable is the same thing that makes you powerless. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. Now, let us start with the first reversal. You think being available makes you valuable. It does not. It makes you expect. When someone texts you and you reply in 30 seconds, you are not being polite. You are not being kind. You are teaching them that your time has no gate, that your attention has no cost, that access to you is a given, not a privilege. And once that lesson is learned, they stop valuing the access. They stop wondering if you will respond. They stop considering whether they should reach out. They just do. Because you made yourself for utility, and utilities do not get respected, they get used. Machiavelli wrote that the prince must make himself feared in such a way that if he is not loved, at least he is not headed. But he also understood that love is conditional. It is based on what you give. The moment you stop giving, the love fades. Fear, however, is based on what you might take away, on what you might do, on the boundary you might enforce, and that does not fade. That sits in the back of their mind every time they think about how they interact with you. You do not need to be cruel. You do not need to punish people. You just need to stop being so available that your presence loses meaning. Silence is not passive. Silence is active dominance. When you do not reply immediately, you force the other person to sit in uncertainty. They start wondering, did I say something wrong? Are they upset? Are they busy? Are they talking to someone else? That uncertainty is where your leverage lives. The moment you reply and remove it, you hand the leverage back. You relieve their tension. You reset the frame. And now they are comfortable again. Comfort is the enemy of respect. You see this everywhere. The friend who always initiates contact starts to feel like they are chasing. The person who always replies first starts to feel like they care more. The one who is always available starts to feel like a backup plan. And it is not because people are evil. It is because value is perceived through scarcity. If you are always there, you become part of the landscape. You become expected. You stop being chosen and start being assumed. Assumptions do not inspire effort. They inspire complacency. So the first shift is simple. Stop rewarding people for low effort. Stop replying immediately to people who take hours or days. Stop clearing your schedule for people who only reach out when they need something. Stop being more invested in the relationship than they are. Not out of spite, not out of revenge, but out of alignment. Your energy should match theirs. Your availability should reflect their priority. When you do this, something changes. Some people will disappear. Good. They were only there because you made it easy. The ones who stay will start putting in effort. Because now they have to. Here is the second truth. You think explaining yourself gives you credibility. It does not. It puts you on trial. Every time you justify a decision to someone who did not ask with genuine curiosity, you are stepping into a frame where they are the judge and you are the defendant. You are agreeing that they have the authority to evaluate you, and once you agree to that, it does not matter how good your explanation is. You already lost, because the person with power does not explain. The person with power decides. Think about every authority figure you have ever respected. Your best teacher, your toughest coach, a boss who actually commanded the room. Did they explain every decision? Did they justify their rules? Did they try to win you over with logic? No, they stated what was going to happen, and the expectation was that you would adapt. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. Clarity creates respect. Ambiguity creates negotiation. And once people learn they can negotiate with you, they will test every boundary you set. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew that princes who tried to be loved by everyone ended up respected by no one, because love requires compromise. It requires softness. It requires you to care what people think. And the moment you start caring what people think, you start adjusting your behavior to manage their feelings. You start explaining. You start defending. You start seeking approval. And approval seeking is the fastest way to lose authority. You do this in relationships. Someone accuses you of being distant. Instead of letting them sit with their feeling, you explain why you have been busy. You list your responsibilities. You justify your behavior. And now they know. They know that if they apply pressure, you will fold. You will explain. You will adjust. You taught them that questioning you works, so they will do it again and again, until you are constantly defending choices that never needed defense. You do this at work. Someone questions your process. You do not pause. You do not assess whether their question is genuine or whether they are positioning themselves. You just start explaining. You walk them through your logic. You try to make them understand. And while you are doing that, they are evaluating you. They are deciding whether you are confident or defensive, whether you are secure or scrambling. And if you seem like you are scrambling, they just learn they can pressure you. The shift here is simple. Stop explaining unless you are asked with respect. If someone questions you, and the tone is adversarial, do not engage with the content. Address the frame. I have already decided. This is not up for discussion. You're welcome to disagree. These are not rude. These are boundaries, and boundaries do not need justification. The moment you justify a boundary, it stops being a boundary. It becomes a negotiation point. Here is the third truth. You think being the bigger person makes you strong. It does not. It makes you a doormat with better marketing. Every time someone disrespects you, you let it slide because you do not want to cause drama. You are teaching them that disrespecting you is free. There is no cost, no consequence, no discomfort, just your silent absorption of their behavior. And they will do it again, because wouldn't they? You made it easy. This is where most people break. They have been told their whole lives that strength is restraint, that real power is walking away. That response makes you look weak. And sometimes that is true, but most of the time it is just to cope. It is what people tell themselves to avoid confrontation, to avoid being seen as difficult, to avoid the discomfort of enforcement. And Machiavelli would tell you that is exactly how you lose control, because people do not respect boundaries that are never enforced. They test them, they push, and if nothing happens, they push harder. You see this in friendships. Someone makes a joke at your expense in front of a group. Everyone laughs. You laugh too, because you do not want to be the one who cannot take a joke. But it was not a joke. It was a test. A test to see if you would enforce your boundary or absorb the hit, and you absorbed it. So next time, the joke will be sharper, the group will laugh harder, and you will still be the one laughing along, wondering why you feel so small. You see this in relationships. Your partner does something that crosses a line. You bring it up. They apologize, but nothing changes because your boundary had no teeth. You stated it, but you did not enforce it. You gave them the apology, accepted the reset, and moved on. And now they know. They know that crossing your line results in a conversation, not a consequence. So the line is not real. It is just a preference, and preferences get ignored when they are inconvenient. The shift here is enforcement, not aggression, not cruelty. Enforcement. If someone crosses a boundary, there has to be a cost. Distance, silence, reduced access, withdrawal of your energy, not as punishment, as alignment. You're simply matching their behavior with an appropriate consequence. And most people have never experienced that. They have been trained to believe they can do anything as long as they apologize after. You are teaching them something different. You're teaching them that your boundaries are real. Here is the fourth truth. You think loyalty is a virtue. It is not. It is a liability if it is not mutual. You are loyal to people who are not loyal to you. You show up for people who would not cross the street for you. You defend people who do not defend you, and you call that integrity. But it is not integrity, it is self-abandonment. Because loyalty without reciprocity is not loyalty. It is servitude. Machiavelli was clear about this. He said it is better to be feared than loved, but a prince must avoid being hated, and hatred comes from taking what people believe is theirs. But he also understood that loyalty given freely is loyalty that will be exploited, because people do not value what they did not earn. They do not protect what cost them nothing. You have to make people earn your loyalty, not through tests, not through games, but through observation, through pattern recognition, through watching what they do when it costs them something to show up for you. You have people in your life right now who only call when they need something, who only show up when it is convenient, who take your energy, your time, your resources, and give nothing back, and you let them. Because you were taught that cutting people off is cold. Real friends forgive. That you should not keep score. But you are not keeping score. You are just noticing the game is rigged. And the only person playing by the rules is you. The shift here is simple. Audit your relationships, not with anger, with clarity. Who actually shows up? Who puts in effort? Who reciprocates? Who respects your time? And who just takes? Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you cannot unsee it, you have a choice. Keep pretending the relationship is equal, or start withdrawing energy until it matches reality. Most people will not notice, and the ones who do will either step up or step out. Either way, you win. Here is the fifth truth. You think being agreeable makes you easy to work with. It does not. It makes you easy to dismiss. Every time you nod along to an idea you do not agree with, you are teaching people that your opinion does not matter. Every time you go along with the group to avoid conflict, you are teaching them that you are not a factor in the decision. You are just a body in the room, and bodies in the room do not get promoted. They do not get respected. They do not get remembered. They just get used to fill space. Machiavelli understood that advisors who only tell the prince what he wants to hear are not loyal. They are cowards. And cowards do not build kingdoms. They maintain comfort. And comfort is the enemy of expansion. If you want to be taken seriously, you have to be willing to create tension, not for the sake of conflict, but for the sake of clarity. Because tension is where truth lives. And people who avoid tension avoid truth, and people who avoid the truth get left behind. You do this in every group setting. Someone suggests a plan you know will not work, but instead of saying that, you stay quiet. You tell yourself it is not your job to correct them. You tell yourself they will figure it out. But they will not figure it out, and when it fails, no one will remember that you saw it coming. They will just remember you were there. You were part of the decision, and now you are part of the failure. The shift here is opposition, not rebellion. Opposition. When you disagree, say it clearly, calmly, without apology. I see it differently. I do not think that will work. Here is what I would do instead. You do not need to convince anyone. You just need to state your position. And if they ignore you, fine. You are on record. You created separation. And separation is what allows you to be right later without being blamed now. Now let us talk about what happens when you do not make these shifts. Let us talk about the end game of niceness, of agreeability, of constant availability, of loyalty without reciprocity, of never enforcing boundaries. You become invisible, not hated, not avoided, just unseen. People stop considering you when they make plans. They stop thinking about you when opportunities come up. They stop valuing your input because your input has never cost them anything. You become the person they like but do not respect. The person they keep around but do not prioritize. The person they would describe as nice but could not tell you one significant thing about. And that invisibility compounds, because people unconsciously mirror the value you place on yourself. If you act like your time does not matter, they will treat your time like it does not matter. If you act like your boundaries are negotiable, they will negotiate. If you act like your presence is a given, they will take it for granted. You are teaching people how to treat you every single day. And most of you are teaching them that you are optional. Machiavelli would tell you this is not sustainable, that power rooted in affection dies the moment the affection fades. And affection always fades. People get busy, priorities shift, new relationships form. And if your value was based on how much you gave, how available you were, how agreeable you were, then the moment you stop giving, you stop mattering. But if your value was based on scarcity, on boundaries, on the fact that access to you required effort, then your value does not disappear when you pull back. It increases, because now they feel the absence, now they notice the gap, now they wonder what changed. This is why silence creates fear, why distance creates authority, why scarcity creates value. It is not manipulation, it is reality. People value what they have to work for, they respect what they cannot control, they fear losing what they cannot replace. And if you have made yourself too available, too agreeable, too loyal, too nice, you have made yourself replaceable. And replaceable people do not get chosen, they get tolerated. They get kept around until something better shows up, and then they get forgotten. So here is what you do. You start small. You stop replying immediately to people who do not respect your time. You stop explaining decisions to people who are not genuinely asking. You stop letting disrespect slide because you do not want to make waves. You stop being loyal to people who have not earned it. You stop agreeing just to keep the peace. And you watch what happens. Some people will get uncomfortable. They will ask if you are okay, if something is wrong, if they did something to upset you. That discomfort is the sound of your boundaries working. Do not rush to fix it. Do not reassure them. Just be calm, be clear, be consistent. I am fine, just busy. I have been thinking about how I spend my time. I am good, just prioritizing differently. You do not owe them more than that, and the ones who push for more are the ones who benefited from you having no boundaries. Other people will disappear. They will stop reaching out, stop inviting me, stop checking in, and you will feel it. You will feel like you lost something. But you did not lose anything real. You lost access to people who were only around because you made it easy. And that loss is not a loss. It is clarity. It is data. It is confirmation that they were never your people. They were just people you were available to. And a small group will stay. They will adjust. They will start putting in effort. They will start respecting your time. They will stop testing your boundaries because they will see that your boundaries are real and those are your people, not because they are perfect, but because they responded to your shift with respect instead of resistance. They met your standards instead of demanding you lower them. This is not cruelty. This is not a game. This is alignment. You are aligning your energy with reality. You are aligning your effort with reciprocity. You are aligning your boundaries with enforcement. And alignment is what creates power. Because power is not what you can do. Power is what people believe you will do. And if they believe you will always fold, always explain, always forgive, always stay, then they will never respect you. They will just use you until you stop being useful. Machiavelli understood that the prince who tries to be loved by everyone ends up ruling no one. Because love requires performance, it requires maintenance, it requires you to keep giving, keep showing up, keep proving your value. But fear requires nothing. Fear is the memory of a boundary enforced, the presence of a consequence delivered, the knowledge that this person will not tolerate disrespect, will not negotiate their worth, and will not stay where they are not valued. And that knowledge does not fade. It sits. It informs every interaction. It creates respect without you having to ask for it. So here is your challenge. Pick one person who has been taking you for granted. One person who reaches out only when they need something. One person who disrespects your time, your energy, and your boundaries. And pull back. Not dramatically. Not with an announcement. Just stop initiating, stop being available, stop engaging at the same level, and watch what happens. Watch if they notice, watch if they adjust, watch if they adjust. And if they do not, you have your answer. And the answer will set you free. If you got something from this, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more of this. But do not do it to help me. Do it because you are marking a shift. You are separating yourself from the people who will watch this and do nothing. You are choosing to be the person who sees the game and plays it instead of being played by it. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. You are not the nice guy anymore. You are not the one who fixes everyone's discomfort. You are not the one who explains, defends, or apologizes for taking up space. You are the person who understands that power is not given, it is taken. And respect is not earned through generosity. It is earned through boundaries, through silence, through distance, through the refusal to tolerate what you used to absorb. That is who you are now, and the people who cannot handle that were never meant to stay.